Step right up, dummies, and listen to the stupidest sports show on earth with Rodney Newpol and Tim Van Stratton. Yeah.
Well, hello, dummies, and welcome to episode number 34 of the stupidest sports show on earth. My name, as you all know, is Tim Country Breakfast Van Stratton. With me is Rodney Newpol. He is in his mansion. His Super Bowl pick is still alive. The Bills versus the Eagles is a possibility.
It is
a pretty good possibility after Wild Card Weekend. Rodney, good evening. How are you?
Doing well. I was just mentioning how very, very cold it was as you ventured back from sunny California. Well, yeah, sorry, I shouldn't mention sunny California. Probably isn't too sunny out there right now, but as you ventured back from warmer California, anyways, I didn't mean to joke about that, by the way. I really do feel terrible for the people in California. But anyways, you came back from California, now it's cold. Yeah, that didn't go
Excellent
real well.
start.
Yeah.
Excellent start there to the show, man. Awesome.
Yeah, not great. But anyways, thoughts and prayers are to them. And welcome back from California to cold Illinois.
Thank you, man. Yeah. As I mentioned last week, I was in a relatively safe area. You know, there's many people that aren't as fortunate. But yeah, just the problem is it's just windy, and it's too windy, and wind's got to stop for something to change there. But yeah, got home safe on Sunday, immediately greeted by just snow and ice and wind and cold, and it's just brutal, man. It's brutal. Yeah. But like, also it's the middle of January. I don't know what else we were expecting. Realistically.
That's a good point. That is a very good point. I was expecting maybe a little bit warmer though. I mean, it hurts your face cold out right now. It's not cool. But let's talk about tonight.
The ultimate question though, and I ask this every so often for you specifically. It is currently right now in our hometown of Morton, Illinois, 8 degrees. Tomorrow, it's looking like we're going to get a high of around 20, 21. Shorts. Will Rodney Newpol be wearing shorts outside?
Yeah, did tonight. Hit up a couple basketball games in the area and definitely had the shorts on. Did have pants yesterday. They were just laying around. I figured I'd put them on. But yeah, back to the shorts today. Guessing tomorrow will be too. Yeah. So yes, is your answer.
So I think you were blessed, and don't take this in a weird way. You know me for a long time. You were blessed with very good, hardy calves, good, strong calves that I think really help keep your legs warm. Like I have really shrimpy, like stringy calves that if I go, they just instantly become like icebergs. But you have a good foundation like that of a bear, which is how they can stay warm during harsh, frigid temperatures.
So if I was if I was playing right now, like on the football field, would they say I have a thick base? Is that the term? I don't know.
I don't know if when I think of thick base, I think of waist and thighs.
Okay.
I don't have calves. I don't think a cat. I mean, you might. I don't know enough about your thighs though, and the way that they're built for me to really know for sure. So.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, yeah, thank you for that. And yeah, it's pretty cold out, but lots of sports going on, huh?
Yeah. How did you enjoy the 5 days, the best 5-day stretch of football in the history of the gridiron? How'd you like it?
So the college games were really good. Both of them. Both of them were really good. We talked Friday about the first game, which would have been the Irish, their field goal win. And then the Ohio State game was actually pretty good. I mean, it was a one-score game. The Longhorns had a chance to tie it. In fact, we're on the 1-yard line. The whole Jack Sawyer, Quinn Ewers story, kind of cool. So Friday was a good one. Saturday, didn't see the first game. But honestly, so Tim, I went back and forth, and I flip-flopped, and I actually went Houston the morning of that game. And I'm glad I did.
Yeah, I was wondering because you sent like the screenshots of you betting Houston, even though you and I were both like Chargers.
What changed? No, I don't know as if I was like Chargers or if I was like Chargers.
Well, it was more like this is a game I probably don't want to bet. I'm leaning Chargers, but
I'm a degenerate. I can't stay away. It was a standalone game. I mean, I'm betting it. So I ended up going the Texans, and it worked out pretty well for me. And then I actually took the Steelers to cover, which I thought they might late in that game. I mean, obviously early in the game, it didn't look like it. Then I was like, oh, maybe they got a chance to backdoor this. They didn't. We moved to Sunday. Sunday wasn't good for me at all. In fact, I don't think I got any of the three right. And then nailed last night. Got back on track. I loved the Rams. I mentioned I liked the Rams a lot. I thought they were going to be well prepared. And you just had that feeling with Sam Darnold after that Detroit game, like this is going to snowball. And it did. And maybe that's the conversation we want to have now. Sam Darnold's not coming back to Minnesota.
Oh, all right. So where do you want to start there? There's a lot of places that we could start if we want to do a little wild card weekend. Do we want to do our classic kind of start backwards and go from there?
Sure. Last night's Rams-Vikings game, I thought the Rams looked tremendous, actually. And don't count them out next round.
Yeah.
And one more thing, Sean McVay will go down as an NFL coaching legend.
Yeah.
Yeah. As long as he sticks with it and doesn't say, you know what, I'm young still, I'm smart, I'm intelligent, I'm solid looking, and I'm going to do something else. I mean, he is, right? Like Sean McVay's a good looking guy.
He is.
Yeah. If he continues coaching, he is going to go down as an absolute legend. So your thoughts, Minnesota and the Rams?
Yeah, I'll start. Let's do this. The Rams, 100% agree with you. They were a team that even before the playoffs started, we were kind of looking at them and saying that's a team that could make things really interesting in the NFC playoff picture. You're kind of just looking at it and saying, all right, it's going to be Detroit and Philly. But who's that third team that can really shake things up? And the Rams, just because of McVay, because of Stafford, because of their experience, like they can go in and they can pretty much beat anyone. And yeah, I don't know what the line is in Philadelphia. I'm sure the Eagles are favored by 3.5, 4 points, something around there. But the Rams to me are not to be trifled with.
Yeah, so
I'm interested in them for sure.
Well, it actually moved to 6 already. I think it opened at like 4 to 4.5. And this is a rematch of a game that they played back in November, and the Eagles smoked them. But I find this interesting. Like, I don't think this is really going to happen, but what if the Rams found a way? I wouldn't be surprised if they beat the Eagles, because I think we're all still waiting for that Eagles clunker. But then it becomes Matthew Stafford at Detroit. And like Matthew Stafford has the chance to rip the Lions' heart right out of Detroit. And like, so, you know, you got rid of him. He went and won a Super Bowl, but you were still kind of happy about the Jared Goff transfer. You know, obviously things were going better, but like this would be a complete dagger for Detroit if this did happen. We're still 2 weeks away, but I look out for that one.
It's always fun when those two teams play. We saw it in the first round last year. We saw it week 1 this year. Both games were incredibly close, came down to the wire. I would love to see it. Certainly, I would, just because it would mean the Eagles got sent home, which would be hilarious. But yeah, I think that you nailed it there. If Detroit is going to lose, I mean, it's one thing if they lose to the Eagles, right?
Yes.
In the NFC Championship, and that's that. It's disappointing, absolutely, but what can you do? You lose to Matthew Stafford and the Rams, though.
Yeah.
That hurts. That's going to hurt.
Yeah.
Now, we're getting way ahead of ourselves. We're almost doing like a faux NFC Championship preview here. But I wanted to just touch on the Vikings real quick. Sam Darnold, if you had to say right now, how many tens of millions, potentially hundreds of millions, has he cost himself in the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, not good. Not good. And, you know, I remember the video in week 17 of the Vikings in the locker room celebrating their big win, and Kevin O'Connell looking, you know, didn't they have Sam Darnold like in the air and everything? And that's like, that was just 2 weeks ago, and how things have completely crashed down for them. Losing money, yes. Now, I had this conversation with somebody else. Like, he's still going to get paid. He's going to get paid. Is he gonna will he get franchise tagged? Potentially.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, he's going to get paid how many millions? I mean, don't you think he probably lost 15 to 20 million a year? Lost that
a year, yeah. Like that's kind of what I was thinking. This team won 14 games, right?
Yep.
He had a huge part of that. For I would say of the 17, now 18 games that Minnesota played, he looked really good in 75% of them, right?
Yeah.
So I think it comfortably, if Minnesota, let's say, even makes the divisional round, I think Darnold is looking at maybe even pushing 40 a year. I mean, keep in mind, Daniel Jones got 40 a year from the Giants, right?
Yeah.
After a playoff win. So that's probably what they would be shooting for. But yeah, I think first of all, you cut that right in half, at least. And then now I would say maybe if he can get 2 years and 40 million somewhere, that would be great for him.
Yeah, for sure.
But because I don't think he's going to get what Baker got. Like Baker, I think was 3 for 80 with Tampa in his extension. I don't think he would get that.
No, I don't think you're going to get Baker Mayfield money. Like what were they talking about for Purdy? 45 to 50 million a year?
Well, yeah, 50 plus for Purdy.
Which is wild because like I don't think Purdy's double the quarterback of Sam Darnold, even how bad Sam Darnold's been.
No, well, and it's the whole thing too of how much of it is actually him as a quarterback improving versus how much of it is Kevin O'Connell's coaching, having Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, and just being in that perfect system. It's the same sort of. It goes back to Brock Purdy again, where if he hits free agency, teams are going to be like, well, how much of that was Purdy versus how much of that was you being with Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers and having to decide what his value is. In reality, it's probably somewhere in between. And I would say with Darnold, it's probably somewhere in between as well. Like, I don't think he would go to a team and be totally, totally useless now. I mean, that's a whole year that he got to learn, that he got to grow, that he got the right coaching and development that should be able to carry over. I mean, hell, I think it carried over with Baker just in a short half season with Sean McVay. Goes to Tampa and his career is re-energized. But yeah, I would say confidently he's gone from 40 million a year to 20 million a year, if not even less, which sucks for him. Yeah. I mean, they lost to 2 teams this year.
Yeah.
They lost to 2 teams.
Yeah.
They were both playoff teams. Like, it's not like they lost to crap opponents. They had 2 to Detroit, 2 to the Rams, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, potentially the 2 teams play the NFC title game. Now, obviously, again, we're ahead of ourselves there. Now, you mentioned Justin Jefferson. Dude was just running cardio last night.
Yeah,
that's all he was doing. He was just running cardio.
Yeah, well, in Justin Jefferson's defense here, right? Sam Darnold got sacked 9 times. 9 times. 9. And this is a Rams defensive line that last I checked does not have Aaron Donald anymore.
No, right. But Jared Verse is the dude.
He's a stud. Right. But I'm just saying, like, if your quarterback's getting sacked 9 times, like, I don't know how you're going to get the ball.
9.
And he still ended up getting 8 targets. But Darnold, when he was throwing, he was rushed. He wasn't able to be super accurate. And Jefferson ended up 5 catches. Didn't really make too much of an impact at all. But that's just the Rams had the perfect game plan, and they just absolutely just threw the pressure, threw the kitchen sink at Darnold, and he saw ghosts again. That's really what it felt like. Yeah,
it was a nice night to play Captain Rams defense last night too, though. It was a good night to play them. But that I guess the magnitude of how bad the Rams beat the Vikings was a surprise. It was not a surprise that the Vikings season ended in a clunker, and it really just kind of solidifies what goes on in Minnesota sports. Minnesota sports just can't find a way to get it done.
It is the most under-talked about. I don't know if curse is the right, because they're not cursed, I don't think. I don't think it's an official curse, but just the most under-talked about failure as a sports city that we have. Like, people talk about all the time about all the teams in New York stink, and they look at all these big markets, But meanwhile, no one really acknowledges that Minnesota has all 4 of the major sports teams, and all of them continually crush their fans' spirits year after year after year in new and just awful ways.
Yeah. I mean, you've gotten a few playoff opportunities here. You've gotten a few opportunities to be great, and then you just completely, I mean, you shit the bed is really what you did, and then that continues. I mean, we've seen a long history of the Twins doing it. Timberwolves really haven't been there a whole lot recently, but they're kind of looking like they're kind of on the way down after maybe 1 or 2 good years. So yeah, not great in Minnesota. I know. Shout out to our old buddy Dan, probably hurting right now after that Vikings loss, and Bubba, another guy, probably hurting too. But not a great finish for the Vikings.
Like, they won 14 games.
14.
Any other year, that's an easy division championship. That's at minimum a 2 seed in the NFC.
Yep.
Instead, you just happen to have another team in your division that's better than you. So you end up being a wild card team despite going 14-3, and then you get bounced in the first round.
Yeah, and suddenly the NFC North, which was so great, did not look real good in wild card weekend. And the last remaining is the Lions. See if they can hold the torch here. So then what do we move to? We moved to Tampa and Washington. Really good game.
Yeah, I mean, we could just run through all 3 of the Sunday games here. I mean, Broncos, Bills. I know you were kind of flirting with the Broncos, keeping it close. I didn't see it, man.
Yeah.
Not with a rookie quarterback. And
I looked good in the first 5 minutes.
First 5 minutes looked very advantageous for the Denver Broncos. Yeah. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they did not score a point after that.
No, not one. Not one. It was all Buffalo from there. And shout out, kudos to Sean Payton for the good season in Denver. But and they'll, I mean, it's hard to be back in the NFL. They should be back. I mean, that's a good young team with a good young quarterback and a good coach. It's just hard. It's hard to get back. But yeah, Buffalo did what they needed to do, and now, and we'll get to this, set up one of the most anticipated playoff, especially divisional round games we've seen in a long time in that Baltimore-Buffalo game.
Oh, yeah. That I saw someone mention it's the best divisional round matchup between quarterbacks ever, which seems like kind of a stretch considering I'm sure we had some Peyton versus Brady in an AFC divisional round somewhere. I mean, we've had Burrow against right. Are we going that far with it? Maybe, but all right. So yeah, that Denver Buffalo game is pretty much locked in. I was unable to watch the Green Bay Philadelphia game because of my travel on Sunday. But then I looked and kind of was just following it afterwards, and it went pretty much how about I thought it would go. Packers offense couldn't muster anything. Jordan Love, 3 interceptions. Eagles were not super dominant, but just seemed to control the game.
Yeah, Green Bay fumbled the opening kickoff. Jordan Love, not good. And you start to wonder, and I know Green Bay, and we said this last year too, but we know Green Bay is still a season away. But you start to wonder a little bit about their development and about kind of in their offense. Like, they probably need to go get it like a T. Higgins, right? Like, they need a dude at the top of that receiving core because, like, Jaden Reed, Christian Watt, I mean, Watt he's hurt all the time. And Romeo Dobbs is there. And then you got, like, Malik Keith and all sorts of guys. But I think you need that alpha, that dude. T. Higgins might be available. Green Bay, T. Higgins, and then you may be talking.
Yeah, well, listen, I think that they got very used to having Aaron Rodgers and being like, it doesn't really matter who we have at receiver for him. He's Aaron Rodgers, we'll make it work. And they did have Devontae Adams, but there were a lot of years where Green Bay didn't really have that super elite receiver. Like, Randall Cobb was good, Jordy Nelson was good, but like they weren't true wide receiver one type of guys. Yeah, and I think that's not having that for the last couple of years has really hurt Green Bay. And yeah, it would help to just have a go-to weapon like that, because every other team in the playoffs that we're going to run through, that you look through and they say, like, they have like a dude, maybe the exception of Buffalo.
Yeah.
I think Buffalo's probably the only one right now that I would say like doesn't have a clear sort of top receiver.
Yeah. Baltimore really doesn't either, though. I mean,
yeah.
So those two,
But Baltimore is kind of different because they literally had a drive against Pittsburgh where they ran the ball 13 plays for an entire drive and didn't pass the ball once, and they just marched down the field and scored.
Yeah, so I'm also not that you're wrong with that take, but I'm also wondering, like, do any of the 8 teams not have that dude at running back? I mean, you look at the running back situations, and you've got the best in the league going. You've got Saquon Barkley. You've got the backfield of Detroit. You've got, Josh Jacobs was there. Kyron Williams has been a top 10 guy this year. Derrick Henry. James Cook was tremendous this year.
Yeah.
I mean, Joe Mixon was really good. So I don't know. That's my next question to you. Do you need that alpha number 1 stud at running back, or do you need him at wide receiver?
Well, up until this year, having a go-to pass catcher. I mean, all right, so Kansas City has Pacheco, right?
They do, yes.
But Pacheco, it's kind of missed a lot of time. They haven't had a total stud at running back. Instead, they have Kelsey still as sort of their number 1, even though not really. I don't know. Kansas City's just in a class all by themselves. I don't even know how to classify them in this. But, yeah, I mean, this year just has been the year of the running back. And seems like every running back that came into a new team has worked out great. They've all been complementary pieces, and it has just been huge. And we've talked about this a little bit too in the past, how it seems like quarterback play is getting like elite quarterbacks are fewer and far between than they used to be, even though it was becoming a pass happy league. But just because it had that doesn't mean that we had 16 elite quarterbacks. Like there's probably 4 or 5 true bona fide superstar, like this is a franchise quarterback type of guy in the league.
Well,
to me,
I mean,
that's it. Like that's it. So then every other team then, right, needs to have more balance and complement their quarterback, who could still be pretty good, but not quite like number 1 could go out and win a game on his own. And that's where the running backs come into play. That's why Saquon Barkley has re-energized the Eagles.
Yeah, and I think at another point you're bringing – I mean, we know how valuable mobile quarterbacks are, but look at the 8 quarterbacks left. I mean, Matthew Stafford's not a mobile and Jared Goff's not, but who – I mean, you look at the rest of those guys and they are.
That's it. No, that's it.
That's it. You've got Josh Allen. You've got Patrick Mahomes. You've got Lamar Jackson. You got Jaden Daniels. I mean, so, like the mobile quarterback is the thing now. I would call 6 of the 8 remaining quarterbacks pretty mobile. That's obviously a big deal as well.
Yeah. All right. And then that Commanders Buccaneers game. We both like Tampa a lot. Jaden Daniels continues to have one of the most impressive rookie seasons that we've ever seen from a quarterback. He wins his playoff debut on the road. I mean, what were your thoughts there seeing Washington there? It was like it was pretty back and forth, but it always kind of felt like Tampa Bay wasn't quite going to pull it out. For some reason, it just felt like Washington just sort of knew that they had an upper hand there in that game.
Yeah, I mean, I still been a little surprised that Washington went into Tampa and won.
Yeah.
I just maybe not as the game went forward. I'm not overly surprised, but I did think, okay, Baker can still get this done at times, and he had the opportunity. His fumble obviously was extremely costly and unfortunate. I mean, and that's kind of been his. I'll use a kind of an element. His bugaboo has been fumbling. Like he's fumbled a lot. That's been his downfall. Mm-hmm. And that fumble was obviously very costly. And then just not being able to stop Jaden Daniels. And Daniels is so tremendous at just extending drives. I mean, with his legs. Terry McLaurin's obviously become an elite receiver. De'Ami Brown was really good in this game. I didn't think Washington ran it out very well outside of Jaden Daniels. Bullet Bryan wasn't real good. Austin Eckler was just fine. Now, what's Washington's game plan? Well, like, what's Dan Quinn doing this week to get ready for Detroit? Because like this is a whole new beast.
Pray.
Yeah. Turn your hat backwards and pray.
Listen, this might sound stupid for me to do again after pretty much discounting Washington against Tampa. but I'm going to say I give the Commanders going to Detroit a 0% chance to win.
0.
I can't even give like. There's no way the Detroit Lions will lose this game.
Wow, that's a prediction right there. That's a prediction. I don't know, man. I just see something in Washington where they just stick around. Like I don't think I'm gutsy enough to take them on the money line, but I'm probably taking Washington in the points.
That's fine. That's fine. It's 9.5.
It's a lot.
You can take them on the points.
Yeah,
that's totally fine.
But no chance they're winning.
They're not going to win.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, you're probably right. I mean, it's the number one seed.
No, well, it's right. Or I've just put the biggest Tim curse in the history of our show on the Detroit Lions for this game. But
yeah.
I
mean, just don't see it.
I don't. I think the Texans are likelier to beat the Chiefs than the Commanders are to beat the Lions.
That's interesting. And that's another one too. I think Houston can stick around in that one too, and possibly win this game. I mean, so Kansas City and Detroit, yes, are rested, but like the rust factor is real, right? Like spending for both those teams, Detroit played Week 18, but Kansas City didn't even play Week 18. So you got 2 weeks off. I know they've done it before. I know these teams think they know what they're doing here, but Houston, man, if they get off to a quick start, I don't know. But I love the almost guarantee there. You are guaranteeing it. You're guaranteeing.
I am. No, I'm gonna look so stupid.
Yeah.
On Saturday night, if the Washington Commanders win, and Rodney, you know that I was from the beginning higher on the Washington Commanders than certainly you and many other people.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention. Like you win the Commanders one, I win the Vikings one.
Yes,
even though I can barely take credit. I think I had them at 6 wins.
Listen. When I had the Minnesota Vikings going 3-14, picking number 1 in the 2025 NFL draft, and they go 14-3, and are a win away from the 1 seed in the NFC. No, that's a big fat L for me. Yeah. But if the Detroit Lions lose on Saturday to the Washington Commanders, it will easily surpass the Vikings take as my worst take that I've had in the history of this show.
Even Cincinnati to the Super Bowl, huh?
I mean, Cincinnati won 9 games, brother.
Yeah, right 5 straight right in the game. 5 straight in the year.
I gave a Week 6 guarantee that the Cincinnati Bengals would finish with a winning record. You remember that?
Yeah, you got it. Colin Cowherd had Cincinnati as his 10th best team this year. Okay, so you're too far off there, even though there's 12 teams made the playoffs.
Let me ask you this. Cincinnati's the 7 seed. They go to Buffalo. Is that game still 31-7?
Yeah, and so like there might be some legitimacy about Kansas City just literally wanting Denver to win that game.
I think so.
And Kansas City
do think
saying,
so. Whatever they say. Listen, there's been one team that has kept Patrick Mahomes from getting to the Super Bowl like every year for 5 straight years. It's the Cincinnati Bengals. Just FYI.
Yeah. No, I mean, at first I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I don't know about that. Like literally letting Denver win. But yeah, I mean, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, those guys are like, yeah, Bo Nix, you go right ahead and get into playoffs. You go right ahead because you're not bothering us. Joe Burrow, now you might bother us. That would have been interesting to see Cincinnati possibly win at Buffalo and then have to go to Kansas City.
Would have been amazing.
It would have been fun. It would have been great cinema this weekend. But here we are with Houston at Kansas City.
Real quick. So Chargers Texans, I mean, Justin Herbert was awful. That's all you can really say about it. It was just a really, really bad game. And that shit happens. What can you do? Because Houston, like CJ Stroud wasn't particularly amazing. Like Joe Mixon had a pretty good game, but I wasn't like wowed by the Texans that way. It was more just like, Herbert just laid an absolute egg, and what can you do? Go ahead.
Thoughts on the Chargers, real quick. Do they go get the best running back available this year?
I don't think they need a running back. I think they probably need another receiver.
do you really think you can get by with Dobbins and Gus? Like, I just don't. I'm looking at these elite teams, and they all have an elite running back.
I think this is the issue. I think that teams are going to look at this last offseason, how this season went, and be like, see, you need a running back. You got to pay a running back. And then they're going to pay big money for the wrong guys. Now, maybe the Chargers can do it because I trust Harbaugh, and just it seems like the Chargers are actually building something there. But to me, like, running back is not the one thing that they need more than anything else. Like, I think having a receiver that's complementary to McConkey, because McConkey's going to be really good. Quentin Johnson, it just isn't that great. Like, he's not. If you get Herbert another really solid receiver, put him with McConkey, then I think you're really in business, and that opens the door. Like, again, like Philly added Saquon Barkley, but they also had A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith already.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
like Houston got Joe Mixon, but they also had Nico Collins and Tank Dell, and they even had Stephon Diggs to the mix too. So
yeah, which is wild. Diggs hasn't even really played this year, and now Tank's out as well. Mm-hmm. And here we got Houston. Like, if that's a healthy team,
yeah, I would have loved to see Houston full form with that receiver group and with Stroud, because like, Stroud wasn't supposed to have this type of difficult season, but I think a large part of it is because Nico missed a bunch of weeks, Diggs missed 80% of the year, and then Tank last few weeks.
But I think with Stroud winning that one playoff game, I think like we're going to look back and not necessarily remember. Like, obviously you can look at stats, but we're not necessarily going to remember that Stroud really didn't have a very good year. Like, we're going to be like, oh yeah, so Stroud made the Elite Eight in the NFL playoffs. Okay,
yeah,
that's about his ceiling for this year.
Yeah, they showed the stat during the game. It's like became the 6th quarterback ever to win a playoff game in his first 2 seasons in the league. You know, Jordan Roethlisberger. I know Joe Flacco was on there. I think Mark Sanchez was on there. Ideally, he has a more Roethlisberger-like career instead of Mark Sanchez-like career. But like it's a rare thing still, and he deserves a ton of credit for that. And DeMeco Ryans is he kind of goes under the radar as a coach too, where he's also been a coach first 2 years and 2 division titles, 2 playoff wins. And Houston is definitely a team that looks like they can stay in control of the division for a while, but just what's their ceiling?
Yeah. So and I think I look at like Houston. If you had to take 5 teams that you know are going to make the playoffs next year, I think Houston's got to be one because of the situation they're in. Like, nobody's challenging them in the AFC South.
No.
So like you put them in. I mean, even like, so you start to think about like a team like Kansas City. And you're like, I don't know. Denver was really good this year. The Chargers were pretty good this year.
Well, and also Kansas City, just to me, it's like Andy Reid's eventually going to retire here. Travis Kelce, I wouldn't be surprised if Travis Kelce is just like, all right, this was it. And then a lot changes.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And yes, like, and we're eventually going to see that sudden drop off, that fall apart, the end of the era. And it's coming. But back to Houston, like they would, I mean, I think about it, they're probably a top 3 guaranteed playoff team to me. Like if I'm putting top 5 together, I think they're in my top 3. Just something to think about.
All right, here's something to think about. The Pittsburgh Steelers, I never want to see them again on my playoff screen for television or my television for playoffs. They do this to me. I can't stand watching them. I'm so tired of them. They're ass. Mega ass.
Yeah, and I got frustrated, and you know, Mike Tomlin, say what you want about him. He's obviously a very good coach. I got frustrated. And I guess Russell Wilson actually probably eventually in that game was fine. I mean, he ended up with 2 passing touchdowns, but I thought it was a little bit of malpractice to not give Justin Fields an opportunity. He was not bad when he got his opportunities this year. Russell Wilson was pretty bad towards the end of the year. Like, even if you mixed them up a little bit more, why couldn't you be a little more creative in your offense? You have this opportunity with 2 quarterbacks, something that a lot of NFL teams can't say. I mean, not very many other teams are doing this in the NFL, but you had this opportunity where you could put various packages in more than they did because Fields only was played like 5 plays. Like, I thought that was malpractice by him. Like, here's the playoffs. Here's your opportunity. Here's your chance. Like, get Justin Fields on the field and see what happens. And he didn't do it, and they got blown out. Baltimore's really good, though.
Oh, Baltimore's excellent. They just absolutely, like, they were averaging first half 7.2 yards per play.
Yeah.
Just running the ball. They're barely passing. Just running it down their throats. And there was no answer. And the Steelers defense, I was told, was good. I was told TJ Watt was going to do something, had an impact. Didn't notice him on the field other than when he was sulking on the sidelines, running off the field because it just couldn't do anything. But like for the Steelers for a second, it seems like something is just broken there. I don't know if it's a Tomlin thing. I don't know if it's just there are guys in the locker room, but there are things that are very, very off in Pittsburgh. And it's pretty evident based on the fact that they've lost 5 in a row.
Yeah. I mean, so I think you see it with one of their leaders in George Pickens. Like, his attitude obviously is very poor right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think that's something you look at, and that brings up a point. I just brought up the point about how Houston is a top 3 for me to guarantee to make the playoffs. Pittsburgh would be my number 1 out of the 14 teams to not make the playoffs. Like, if I had to take a guaranteed team this year that made the playoffs and say they are not making the playoffs next year, my number 1 choice is Pittsburgh, right? Like it is for you too, right?
No, because no matter what, Mike Tomlin is going to scratch and claw his way to 9 wins, even if it gets them a 7 seed. No, mine would probably be Washington.
Yes. And you mentioned this last week. Like, we're not going to see them winning 11 games every year. 12.
Like they went 12. Like they went 12-5. They got the Eagles in the division. The Cowboys are going to come back with a new coach. Like,
yeah, no, I got you. And that I actually think I said this a couple weeks ago. Deion Sanders is going to the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Deion Sanders is going to the Cowboys.
Man.
He can say that he's intrigued, but he's committed to Colorado. But I mean, it's bullshit. He's going to Dallas. Jerry is bringing him to Dallas,
and then they have to get Shador.
Yeah, I think so. And
then it's Tennessee trying to rob Dallas, get their first for next year. Because Dallas picking 12th, I think.
Yeah, but the first next year, Dallas may make the playoffs next year.
Yeah, but so that's the minimum. So I don't know what the full sort of trade value is for the 12 moving up to the 1. But if Deion Sanders becomes the coach of Dallas, and Dallas is pretty much saying we need to do everything we can to get Shador, yeah, if I'm the Tennessee Titans, I'm like, I'm getting every single ounce of value I possibly can for them. Like, unless they love Cam Ward. If they love Cam Ward, then they can take Cam Ward and then, see if maybe Cleveland wants to make a deal. But like, that's I don't know, man. Like, the idea of Deion Sanders coaching in the NFL is still so strange to me. I don't know what it is. It's just like, he's a great motivator, and I think it does actually work for college and the whole molding young men, this and that. Just like, I feel like guys are going to look at him in the NFL and just be really confused. Just be like, why are you telling me this, man? Like, I'm 32 years old.
But one thing that happened in Dallas this year that did not settle well was empty seats. There was empty seats.
No, and that's what Jerry cares about. No, you're right.
Yeah, but Deion's going to bring people into seats, at least early, obviously. Yeah. He's going to bring people into seats. And yes, Jerry cares about that. And Jerry cares about the Dallas Cowboys being in the news. And this is going to get them in the news. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is going to be in the news not only in February, but we're going to hear March, April. I mean, this is going to be the story all spring into the summer as Jerry's the Deion's the new coach in Dallas. It's happening. It's happening. It's happening.
I was talking to a buddy of mine, and when the Dallas job opened up, and he said, "Do you think that Ben Johnson is looking at that and saying, hey, you know what? Maybe I'm going to wait a second before I fully say yes to Vegas or say yes to Chicago or wherever else he gets offers. So, like, let's just hypothetically here, right? So Dallas makes this move and they look at Ben Johnson, and clearly he's like the top candidate out there right now, right? But Ben Johnson can look at Dallas and say, number one, I have a quarterback already set in place. Like, he's a veteran quarterback, still a good quarterback. I can make it work with him. Number two, and I think this is huge, with the Dallas Cowboys that you're going to get job security, because if there's one thing we know about Jerry Jones is that he holds on to these coaches and he gives them a leash that is much longer than they probably deserve. Whether it was McCarthy, whether it was Jason Garrett, whether it was Wade Phillips, like all these guys just hang around. So like Ben Johnson can go to Dallas, he can have his quarterback in place, and he's getting at least 5 years to do whatever he wants there with the Cowboys. They draft really well consistently. He's got a great receiver in CeeDee Lamb to work with. It's certainly a better sort of situation, I think, than going to the Raiders, let's say, and having who at quarterback. If they're able to trade up and get Sanders or Ward or whoever, or is it going to be Gardner Minshew? Is it going to be a guy that they draft on day 2? Like, there's not a lot to work with there. So yeah, so like, do you think that he's thinking like, hey, maybe let's see how this Dallas thing works? Now the problem is Dallas can't interview him because they missed the deadline. They can't interview him until Detroit's eliminated.
Yeah, which is completely 100% on Jerry Jones. I think Ben Johnson will be in Detroit next year.
Really?
Obviously, I've never met Ben Johnson in my life, but something has me thinking that he just is not. He will obviously take a head coaching job somewhere, but he wants to make sure he is ready. He wants to make sure he's in the right spot. And I feel like maybe Ben Johnson is that type that's like, listen, I am going to completely. Obviously, I know he interviewed a couple places, but I am all for Detroit. I'm going to win this Super Bowl first. And if I don't get one of these jobs, I don't get one of these jobs. I'm still going to be a top candidate next year. I will call Ben Johnson remaining in Detroit next year.
What can he do to further increase his value? Like what does he still need to do other than just, Detroit wins the Super Bowl? Like the team won 15 games this year?
15 games, yeah.
They had the offense that was by far and away the best in the NFL. I think that they scored second or third most touchdowns in a season in NFL history. Like, what more does he have to prove? And that's sort of, to me, like I love the boldness because he already sort of did it last year. Last year we were having the same conversation about him, and he decided to reject Washington, come back, stay in Detroit. But to me, it only feels like he could go back to Detroit and his value would take a hit.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right. I don't know. I just have this hunch on Ben Johnson that he's staying in Detroit one more year. But you're right. I mean, the value may go down. And then you got thinking, we hear about these distractions. Like, is this a distraction for Detroit's offense? Was Brian Flores being flirted as a new coach a distraction for the Minnesota defense? Minnesota defense wasn't very good last week.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, could you see it crash down on Detroit because their offensive coordinator's distracted this week? I don't know. I did all the theories out there. So my 2 hot takes: Deion Sanders to Dallas, Ben Johnson remains in Detroit.
Who's going to be the Bears coach?
Mike McCarthy.
I don't know why. It kind of feels like it's going to be that or a guy that's currently a college head coach.
Marcus Freeman.
Maybe Marcus, maybe Matt Campbell.
Yeah, so what about this? And why isn't this being talked about? Maybe he has no interest in coaching the NFL. What about a combination of Ryan Day and Chip Kelly? Package deal. I mean, they're together now. Ryan Day, Chip Kelly, head coach, offensive coordinator. I mean, just throw it out there, Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, maybe they don't want that. Obviously, that's not a great job. Las Vegas Raiders. But, like, why is that not being talked about? I mean, I guess it's not being talked about because people are still questioning whether Ryan Day can actually coach or not. But Chip Kelly has and can continue to coach. I don't know. That's another one out there. Like, what's wrong with that combo? I mean, the Bears have interviewed 7 trillion guys. Why isn't that an option?
It's a good question. You're asking the right question. But even though I think you answered the question as you were asking it, it's because we're still questioning whether Ryan Day is actually a good coach or not.
Yeah. So back to Mike McCarthy.
Also, do you think that the Jacksonville Jaguars would want to hire the guy who so correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan Day worked under Urban Meyer at Ohio State?
He did, yeah.
As one of his like top assistants?
Yeah.
Okay. So Urban Meyer went to Jacksonville. Did not work out very well.
No.
So then Jacksonville would then turn it around and say, hey, that Urban Meyer guy, let's go with his second in command. Maybe that'll work better.
Yeah, I mean, they're different people. But, I get what you're saying. But so what about the Raiders, okay? What about that combination going to the Raiders? Any of these openings, I just think that's one. But back to McCarthy, I think it would be a decent hire. He has kind of a steady hand. He's shown that he can win games. I mean, and he's more of an offensive guy, which hopefully then in theory can help Caleb and that offense. I don't know.
And he actually has developed quarterbacks. Like, I know we like to make fun of him because I think some of his in-game coaching and decisions aren't considered the best. But the guy won a Super Bowl in Green Bay. Yeah. He was the coach for a large portion of Aaron Rodgers' career, the prime of his career. Dak Prescott played very well under him in Dallas. Like, it's not an insane hire. Now, Bears fans will hate it because I think that they've talked themselves up into Ben Johnson or Pete Carroll or whoever. Like, if they get Mike McCarthy, I think that they're really going to throw a fit. Also, it would be very strange to just see longtime Packers coach Mike McCarthy coaching the Bears.
Yeah, I mean, I've always kind of been intrigued by Pete Carroll's just his personality, his persona, his aura. Yeah, he's that cool old guy. Not sure what he's got left in the coaching realm. Yeah, I mean, but Marcus Freeman would be an interesting one. And if you are the Bears, like, you've spent quite a while now in this coaching opening, like, just wait for Tuesday. Like, wait for Tuesday and interview Marcus Freeman, right? Like, you got to give him a shot, right? I don't know. I mean, especially if they win Monday. Like, I don't know. And he would be very popular in Chicago.
He would.
He would. God, yeah.
Yeah. Marcus Freeman has the chance to become a legendary college football head coach and to do something that we haven't really seen before at Notre Dame for a long, long time, of just like championship excellence, not since like Lou Holt was running things. But yeah, I feel like also he could probably do better than the Bears, if I'm being totally honest with you.
Well, sure, but I mean, he's in South Bend. He wouldn't have to transfer too far away here, obviously. Yeah, but like, I don't know how many other opportunities he's going to have. Lane Kiffin has to be in the conversation here. Let's see with this one. Lane Kiffin has to be in the conversation. Lane Kiffin to Jacksonville.
Yes, all of them.
Yeah. Yeah, so Lane Kiffin back to the NFL. I don't know. I feel like Lane Kiffin probably is better fit. His attitude's better fit for college. His let's just call it like it is. His can't think of the right word here, but he's fit more for college for me.
They tried the NFL thing with Lane Kiffin.
Yeah,
didn't work.
Thanks for that, Brain. Appreciate it. All right, well, where are we at here?
I was just going to say, so ESPN, I think it was just today, actually, they did the predictions, the candidates for the open jobs right now. So for the Bears, they had Brian Flores. Honestly, Brian Flores, given what Chicago is in terms of just like needing an actual like competent head coach, probably a good hire. Would fans like it? No. Would Caleb Williams like it? Probably not. Yeah. But they've also, that's one of like a zillion guys, as you mentioned, they interviewed. For the Cowboys, they predicted Kellen Moore, which I don't see because Kellen Moore was already there for several years. And then did he get fired?
Yeah, that's
not happening. Fired as the offensive coordinator, and then now a year later, he's going to get hired as the head coach.
Yeah, I don't see that one happening. That one has been mentioned, but I don't see it happening.
Dion's more likely. Jacksonville, they have Joe Brady, Bill's offensive coordinator.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, but have they already interviewed? They've already interviewed him.
Believe so. Yeah, they should hire Liam Cohen, the Tampa Bay offensive coordinator. I think he'd be a good fit there.
Yeah, and then
Raiders. Raiders, they predict Ben Johnson. I think that seems to be the favorite. Seems like they're going all out for him right now. Saints is Aaron Glenn, the Lions defensive coordinator, which Saints, it's basically like all I'm hearing with the Saints, it's basically going to be Aaron Glenn or Mike McCarthy. Like that's it.
Which is the worst job?
Ooh. Honestly, maybe the Jets.
Yeah. So who do they have for the Jets?
Oh, you're going to love this one.
Is
they have Arthur Smith.
Why?
I don't know.
So if I'm the Jets, I just hire Rex Ryan and say, "You want this job again? Let's do it. You want to be here. Like Rex Ryan wants to be with the Jets, so just rehire him. I mean, he was the best one you've had in the last long time. Just hire Rex Ryan."
I think he's the only one who was already rejected. Like they were told him, like, "Thanks, but we're good. Yeah. We're good. We're all right on that." Yeah, but Arthur Smith becoming the Jets head coach would be hilarious.
So uninspiring and not going to fire up your fan base.
Well, I mean, the Steelers' offense was so dominant this year. after we saw how great the Falcons' offense was the last couple of years when he was the head coach, how he used all of his weapons, his first-round weapons, so effectively.
Yeah. And Arthur Smith was just a great head coach there for a while too, huh? Yeah. Don't love it. But that's the interesting part of the non on the field stuff, the head coaching trade. Yeah. So I'll stick with Dion to Dallas, McCarthy to Chicago. That's probably as far as my hot takes will go.
Yeah, just like when you interview 25 guys, it's like, what are you thinking? Like, what are you going to do?
And there's a lot of talk about how the Bears have tons of people in these interviews too. Like they have like HR people and all that. And like, what are you doing here? Like, I just don't get it.
Well, you know what it shows me? It shows me that they really don't trust Ryan Poles to make the executive decision. To have so many people involved, to have so many candidates, like, I don't know. It feels like they are really throwing the training wheels and the kid gloves on Ryan Poles because Matt Eberflus obviously didn't work. The Bears had a really bad season, and they're just scared about getting this hire wrong because this hire is really sort of the one that's going to define Caleb Williams' career with the Bears. Is that fair to say?
Oh, 100%. And I just like, why do you?
But then if you don't trust your GM, you don't trust your GM to make the hire, why is he your GM?
Right. I mean, and you had opportunity to interview several of these people before you did. Like you've had Thomas Brown here for what, 6 weeks? Like you've had opportunities to start interviewing other guys and, waiting for the postseason on some of these guys. I'm not like, who was Ron Rivera? Like, what are we doing? Like, I know he played for the Bears and he had some good runs, but like Ron Rivera to the Bears, like, come on. Not buying it. But anyways, we'll see what happens there. I mean, if you're waiting for Marcus Freeman, you got a week. So next week, maybe we see Marcus Freeman head to Chicago.
All right, real quick, the divisional round. We'll talk obviously a lot more about these games, more in depth. Give our betting predictions on Friday's show. Texans, Chiefs, Commanders, Lions on Saturday. Those are the games with the two largest spreads. Yeah, Kansas City is about an 8.5-point favorite. And then Detroit's a 9.5-point favorite. I've already gone on the record and personally guarantee that the Detroit Lions will win that game. Don't even have to watch. Just pencil them in. And then Sunday, you have Rams, Eagles. That should be a fun one. And then Ravens, Bills is unquestionably, to me, that's the game of the weekend.
Yeah.
That's the one.
For sure.
What if I told you, Rodney, that the game's in Buffalo, and yet the Bills are an underdog?
Yeah, I mean, the Ravens trucked them the first time, right?
Yes. It was a game, though, in Buffalo or in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Throw that out there. And, home field advantage, the NFL, like, it doesn't need to matter a ton, per se, like Washington won on the road. Stuff happens, but, like, I don't know. Some feels weird about Buffalo being an underdog because also they crushed Denver. So I don't know what I'm missing here.
Yeah, I'm checking out. Let's see. That game's on Sunday, you said?
Yeah, it's the Sunday night one. So it's the final one. It'll be a CBS game.
So just not a lot of snow coming. I figured we might get that, that 70 feet of snow or whatever. Just an inch of snow on Saturday, and that's about it. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, Baltimore, but both these teams are one of those we need to get this win to get over the hump. And then we've got to get the real hump with Kansas City after that. I'm not surprised by the line. I mean, Buffalo's going to have a hard time stopping the run. We saw that. And with two guys in your backfield that can run it at will, I think until we see that Buffalo can stop that run, Baltimore as favorite doesn't surprise me. You might as well make it a pick 'em. I mean, that's where it's at. I mean, 1 point obviously if you get at 1.5, then you can sneak in that line. But if I'm odds makers, I'd probably just say put it at pick 'em and you guys fight this out. Whatever money you want to put on it, there you go.
Yeah, it's kind of where I'm at right now. I feel like I'll have a stronger lean on Friday after I reflect and pray on this game a little bit. But yeah, just looking through. I mean, are you going home teams for the first three? Chiefs, Lions, Eagles?
Straight up, money line, yes.
Yeah.
I will probably take Houston with the points, and I will probably take Washington with the points.
What about the Rams?
What is it?
6.5. 6.5.
Yeah, I'll take the Rams with the points too. So and at that point, I might just take an all four underdog with the points and say, here we go. Obviously, it's very difficult to bet these. I mean, let's be honest. Like betting is hard. There's a reason people can't do this on an everyday basis. They try, but it's very difficult. But I'll probably lean. And it would be great if all four of the underdogs could come under that spread and make it a 1 touchdown game and all 1 field goal game. We'd have a fantastic 4-game slate of football.
By the way, and this is kind of going backwards a little bit. I wanted to mention this when we were talking about the wild card games. So since the 7th seed was introduced, right? This has been the 5th season that we've had the 7th seed. They've won 1 time.
Yeah.
And so that's 10 games, 1 win. And in the 10 games, only 2 of them were decided by a single score.
So that
we're talking about these games. So we have really good matchups now. The wild card round, though, didn't really get a lot. Like Denver got crushed. Green Bay was really not super competitive with Philadelphia. Are you still in the are you like, all right, yeah, you know what, it's fine. Like this, it is what it is. Or because don't get me wrong, it's nice in the regular season to have the extra spot because it opens the door for a team like Cincinnati or Miami to try to make the playoffs. And same with Green Bay and Washington, all those teams. But do you think it affects the quality of the games at all?
It probably does. I more think of that when you tell me that stat is Green Bay, you probably should have won against the Bears in week 18.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, then you're talking Washington going to Philadelphia. Washington's probably not in the second round. Green Bay taking on Tampa Bay. Green Bay could probably
Tampa Bay's in the second round now.
Or Green Bay.
Green Bay.
Yeah. I don't know. Dropping to that 7 seed, obviously your historic history is on our side and saying you're going to have a hard time here. But yes, did it take away some of the awesomeness of the games? But we're not going back. Obviously, we're not going back to 6 teams in the playoffs because we got 2 extra games. I mean, NFL. I mean, heck, they'll probably add an 8th team each side before they go to 6. I mean, any more games. I mean, and we all saw everybody's upset. That's all they did all weekend. We watched NFL, right? Until you were on your flight, that's all you did. You watched Saturday, you watched Sunday, you watched Monday. We'll do the same thing on Saturday and Sunday this week.
Why do we even eliminate teams in the first place? Let's just play 18 weeks and then just do playoffs with all of the teams.
Yeah, 32 team. It'd be like the NCAA tournament, just one less round. You could, 1 versus 32. So you could get the Chiefs against the Titans would be your first round matchup. You get Detroit against Cleveland. That'd be a good geographical matchup there. Yeah, I mean that would be. I mean, I'm all for it because then you're talking another 3 weeks of football. More football.
All right. Ohio State, Notre Dame, real quick.
Yeah.
We'll give our full prediction on Friday, but this is probably not maybe what a lot of people expected at the start of the playoff. However, going into the semifinals, I think this was the most likely matchup here. You have a Notre Dame team that only lost one game this year, in a fluke home loss to Northern Illinois, an Ohio State team that has lost to Oregon and then turned around and crushed them, and then that game in the last week of the season against Michigan.
Yeah.
I mean, they're two good football teams. Ohio State's defense, arguably the best in the nation. Notre Dame is a really just solid, well-balanced, well-coached football team. What's the current spread right now? Ohio State is a favorite, but it's not a ton, correct?
I think it's moved to 6, right?
Has it really?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take a look at what the current line is as we're talking, but yeah, I mean, a lot of people talking about 8 now.
Oh wow,
8.
Never mind. Okay,
I mean, yeah,
well,
we'll give our pick on Friday, but I mean, that's hard to not take the Irish to cover 8, right? The way that, I mean, Ohio State's been great, but like even that last game, they weren't great offensively. They scored 28 points, but the last touchdown was defensively. So, yeah, I mean, again, we'll give our pick on Friday, but like that's going to be hard to not bet the Irish plus 8.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. Bet Rivers has 9.5.
Jeez. Yeah.
DraftKings 8.5. FanDuel 8.5. ESPN Bet has 8. So like it's kind of just in that range, but that's a huge number.
It's a big number. That is a big number. Yeah, I mean, I think one thing people maybe aren't talking much about is like Riley Leonard has a little Josh Allen in him.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna be tough for Ohio State to take down. He can extend drives. He's a solid player. So let's get back to that one. Maybe can that for now because we are up against our clock here. But we'll talk a lot on Friday about this game. I'm intrigued by Ohio State Notre Dame.
All right, we need to wrap up the show with I think a new thing that we've started the last few shows that I really enjoy. This, of course, is episode 34 of the Stupidest Sports Show on Earth, which means that Rodney, I'm sure, is going on his favorite site, ranker.com, to pull up the best number 34s in sports history. 34 is a great number. There are a few guys that immediately come to mind for me. Rodney, why don't you go ahead and start us off here?
Yeah, of course, Homer Bailey.
Of course. All right, well, that does it for the best 34s in sports.
Danny Cox, former St. Louis Cardinal. No, who? I mean, you talk 34, a big NBA number. Charles Barkley, Hakeem Olajuwon, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, Giannis, Shaq.
Yeah, there we go. That's the first one always for me that comes to mind. Shaq with the Lakers.
Eddie Curry. Remember Eddie Curry?
No, of course I remember Eddie Curry. He was supposed to be really good.
He was out of Chicago. He was supposed to be really good. Yeah, I mean, so those are the big NBA names. There's quite a few 34. Bryce Harper's 34, right? Bryce Harper's 34.
He was with Washington. I believe he's number 3 with Philadelphia, though.
Yes,
but yes, he was 34 with the Nationals.
Jake Arrieta in Baltimore was 34. Jake Arrieta, one of the most. So Jake Arrieta, one of the most high key cheaters of all time. He cheated. There's 100, without a shred of doubt in my mind. Jake Arrieta cheated. He cheated.
Go on. I'm interested.
I mean, that season he had, or those seasons he had, he wasn't just naturally throwing like that. He cheated. Well, we don't have time for this. Jake Arrieta, one of the most high-key cheaters of all time in baseball. They got away with it.
Nolan Ryan was 34 with the Texas Rangers.
Nolan Ryan was 34. Remember Kevin Millwood?
Of course I remember Kevin Millwood. Yeah, he was a little bit of a journeyman, but like a solid journeyman.
David Ortiz, we mentioned Big Papi, 34.
Yep, Big Papi. Fernando Valenzuela, I think, was 34.
I can't believe you haven't brought this one up. The pride, the joy, rest in peace, Kirby Puckett.
Kirby Puckett was 34, really?
Kirby Puckett was 34. Pride and joy, Bradley.
I don't know why I thought you were going to say pride. Oh, well, this is actually a perfect one here because you said the pride, and I thought you were going to say the pride of Peoria, which would take me to 34, Sean Livingston.
Yeah. Another good one there. Pride of Peoria, Kirby Puckett, two local guys there. Kerry Wood, Chicago Cub, ace,
Yep.
or 34. So a lot of 34s. A good number for this one.
There had to be some running backs. Like we named a lot of baseball guys, a lot of NBA guys who were 34. Like in the NFL was Walter Payton wasn't 34, right? Walter Payton was 34.
Walter Payton was 34. I heard he was pretty good.
He was good. So Chicago had 34 Walter Payton, 34 Kerry Wood, cheating Jake Arrieta. Not bad.
Yeah, that's a hot take.
That's not bad.
I'm serious though. I'm dead serious. Yeah,
okay, but like we can admit between just us that it's only because he was a Chicago Cub doing that, right?
It's possible. Yeah, it's possible. I mean,
yeah, but no, the second half of his 2015 season where he had an ERA that I think was somewhere around 0.03 for 2.5 months. You're saying that wasn't just a gift from God? Come on, Rodney.
Earl Campbell, 34.
Yeah.
So yeah, not a great NFL number. Was Bo Jackson?
Bo Jackson was 34.
Yeah, pretty good.
Okay, I know you said that, but like Walter Payton and Bo Jackson and
Yeah.
Earl Campbell, I think we're turning it around a little bit.
Yeah, we are. We just didn't do any research ahead, and we're literally looking these up as we. But that's why we are the stupidest sports show on earth, because we're literally I'm pulling up a second screen and I'm finding 34s, and they may have only played 34 for like a half a season, but they wore 34. So I'm mentioning on air that they're 34. It doesn't matter. They wore a 34 somewhere along the way, maybe in high school. I don't know. But yeah, 34, another good number. Are we going to, I mean, we're starting to get out of some of the prime numbers.
Yeah. Oh, once we get to like, 64, we're going to have some trouble.
Yeah. We're going to have to like think of like what kind of streaks went to 64 or something.
It's going to be a lot of offensive guards.
True.
O-linemen. Yeah. Not going to really have a lot of baseball. Maybe some pitchers, because like pitchers like those high numbers sometimes.
Yeah, like their first year maybe when they got called up from AAA. But yeah. So we'll get there. That's a 30 shows from now before we start getting too wrapped up in that. But yeah, 34s were a very good number.
Yes, and whether it's 34 or 64, we won't do any research either way until the exact moment that we're live on the air and required to do so.
In fact, tonight. I wasn't much earlier, but you were on about 3 minutes before the show started, and we're like, okay, this is what we're going to do tonight. So I think it was a pretty good hour 8 for doing zero preparation. Good work.
You know that we're getting comfortable with the show when you just sort of show up and you're like, all right, game time.
Yep.
Believe it or not, like the first show we did, I had a whole slideshow presentation. I put some work into that shit.
You did, and now we just changed those slides, so they're all right here. It's all great, but let me go ahead and put this one up there. Follow us on Twitter, not X, as you would say, not X, at not Stupid X. Sports Show. No W on the end. If you put that W on the end, you're not going to find us. You're going to find something even more stupid. And then one more thing I wanted to mention, make sure you get signed up for our Stupid Sports Show on Substack. I would send you a link, but it was like Tim, you're laughing because it was like it wasn't even HTTP. It was some kind of.
It was just like, it was the most perfect representation of like just you showing your age, where it's like, I got to figure out a way to get this link out there for the broadcast. And then we were experimenting with banners. Yeah, there you go. Like, what is that going to do? What is that mess?
Well,
all right. How about this? We're going to leave it up right there. What?
Can you copy and paste it? Like, can you scroll over? You can't copy it. I was okay, well, if I left it up, you could like type it real quick and then you could copy and paste.
That's what I'm saying. Get out a sheet of paper, notepad, and just go ahead and jot down https://t.co/CW8R capital Y as capital V NY capital C. Obviously, that will take you where you need to go to the Stupidest Sports Show Substack. Thank you so much, Rodney, for doing that.
You sign up for our Substack. I'm giving picks, a hot take picks every day. Went 3-1 yesterday. I have no idea how I did today. I'm not following any scores. I think the Bulls lost though, so that would be an L for me.
Yeah, who'd you take? Let's do this right now. A live reaction to your best bets.
I don't think we want to do this because I'm pretty sure the SLU Billikens also didn't cover. But let's go here. Let's go.
The Chicago Bulls lost 119 to 113 to the Pelicans.
So how did your Ducks do?
Ducks got shut out 3-0.
I got that one. So I had Caps minus 1.5. Boom.
Right.
Red Wings lost straight up to the Sharks, right?
I can tell you in a matter of moments. So who'd you have for that one?
Red Wings minus 1.5.
You had Red Wings minus 1.5, and yes, they lost 6-3 to the San Jose Sharks.
Good pick. I had the Blues minus 1.5. I'm pretty sure they won by 1 goal.
The St. Louis Blues won 2-1 to the Flames.
So didn't get that one. I had the Pacers plus 8.5. They didn't cover.
They were very close. They were right there with Indiana, but then Matherin got tossed from the game, kind of unraveled a little bit. Cleveland wins 127-117. So, 10 points. So
Bulls didn't cover. Who won Bucks Kings?
The Milwaukee Bucks 130-115.
I had Bucks minus 2.5. Moved to college basketball.
How is that only 2.5 a game in Milwaukee?
Well, Kings have won 7 in a row, but not now.
No.
One more. So we got four more games here. College basketball. Xavier Villanova.
How many bets are you doing on this thing, man?
Xavier Villanova.
All right. 1 second. Because I only have the NHL and the NBA up, so now I got to put the college basketball scores up. This is exciting. This is.
There'll be 12 billion college basketball games too, so you'll have to scroll through. Xavier.
Yep. No, I'm on it. Hold on.
Villanova.
Let's go to Division I here because I don't think either of them are ranked.
Nope.
Xavier Villanova. Did you lose it already? Or did you get it? Yeah.
No.
Xavier won 69-63.
Yes, that's a win. I don't know if we want to even look at this one. North Texas minus 3.5 over East Carolina. So you're probably going to have to pull up who won?
Nope, I got it. North Texas 69-60. They won.
Got that one. SLU Billikens. I had the Billikens plus 11 against VCU. I'm pretty sure VCU blew them out.
VCU won 78-62.
16, so I didn't cover 6. And then Baylor, Arizona over 147.5.
That game is going on right now. It is 7-2.
So that one will come later. 7-2, 4 minutes in, so not on pace. So my Substack's around 500. Anyway, sign up for my Substack. There's the link right there. Enjoy it, guys. You'll get picks in your inbox every single day. And maybe Tim will join me at some point again.
Plenty of time, by the way, this segment for you to jot down that URL that we've left on the screen.
Yeah,
Take that.
Or just copy and paste and put it in your browser. I mean, it's not that difficult. Anyways, enjoy the Substack, and we'll have more to come as we go. I think it's time to get out of here, man.
Yes. Yeah, it is. And in case you missed anything, listen on Spotify, Apple, iHeart. By the way, because I actually know how to do things on a computer, the link to the Substack is in the episode description of all of our Stupidest Sports Show episodes. So when you go, you automatically download, and boom, you get the link right there in the description. That's how it's done. There you go.
There it is.
That's it.
There it is.
Fun show. Good job. Congratulations on your wins and your losses in Substack. We'll be back Friday morning, 8 a.m. Central Time, to give our official picks, predictions for the NFL divisional round.
Correct.
And I believe because we got Monday night college football, so we'll have to give our picks for the Notre Dame Ohio State game as well.
Can't wait. Good. I'm ready.
Exciting. All right, let's get out of here. It's late. Go to bed, everyone. This is episode 34 of the Stupidest Sports Show on Earth. For Rodney Newpol, I am Tim Country Breakfast Fan Stratton. We'll talk to you Friday.
See ya.
Step right up, dummies, and listen to the Stupidest Sports Show on Earth with Rodney Newpol and Tim Van Stratton. Yeah.